All right, everybody. So this video is for the people who naturally connect patterns, call it a conspiracy theory, whatever, or for those who are starting to notice patterns. I wrote everything down because it's just my brain. I can't I just can't. I just can't. Anyway, so if you go through history, right before major world events, things change. Right? The tone of movies changes. The themes in media start repeating. Even celebrities and public figures begin reflecting the same energy. Right? Look at the celebrities. Bone thin, all losing weight. All y'all want to say, oh, it's Ozempic. Oh, it's Ozempic. Nope. Celebrities have done this in the past. Changed their makeup, changed their style. We all have to remember Hollywood and the government. Anyway, so more examples. Before World War II, there was a rise in war-driven films and strong patriotic messaging. Before the Cold War, everything became about nuclear threats, invasions, and global destruction. Before 9/11, there were multiple movies and storylines centered around attacks on major cities and terrorism. Before the Iraq War, media leaned heavily into Middle Eastern conflict and fear-based narratives. It's not about predicting anything, it's about patterns. Actually, so with the patterns comes the prediction, so I take that back. But the same kind of buildup shows up again and again, like something is shifting before the event even happens, right? And I know y'all feel it. I know y'all feel something is about to happen, because it is. Now look at what's coming out right now, right? This summer. Look at the movies that are coming out. We've got the stories of Odysseus, or the Odyssey, right? Long journeys through chaos, gods, new world. We have Greenland 2. That's literally about the end of the world, surviving the end of the world. Project Rosemary is a movie that I heard was coming out, so I looked up if there was any government Project Rosemary. There is. One word, sci-fi. War Machine, that just came out on Netflix. And I'll talk about War Machine later. But even a new alien-focused film from Steven Spielberg centered around disclosure is coming out this summer. Different titles, but the same kind of energy underneath. Right? We hear things like allegedly Project Bluebeam is in full effect, and that would mean that they would be pushing religion and aliens. That's it. So unless they're pushing religion and aliens, Project Bluebeam is not in effect. But if they are, best believe it's in full effect. Let's see, what else? So War Machine. It's literally, in the movie, there's an asteroid. Some people are worried about it. Some people aren't. Spoilers. I don't know if I already said that. The media just kind of plays it down. But as it passes, machines start to drop off of it and attack globally, right? Alien machines. So these alien machines, what they thought was just an asteroid, was actually like a thing carrying alien machines. And in the movie, they show where these aliens are attacking, which is globally, but they only show America. Specifically, they show how bad California is going to get hit, which is just like connect the dots, Let's see. Oh yeah, and I'm going to come back to this in another video if I remember, but 2026, we're hosting the World Cup here in America? What are the odds? There is no such thing. Never ever has there ever been such thing as a coincidence. Ever. Ever. Something just feels familiar. Like for me, this is starting to, I feel like, 2001. But my friends, stay aware, stay connected until you can't. Build a community. The people that you are around right now, build a community. Ask your friends and family, especially your family, hey, if shit goes south, what's our plan? Where are we meeting up? And also stock up. God, it's coming. It's coming. 2020, it's coming. It's coming. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. It's biblical. Not really. Not really. Not technically they're pushing it to be biblical. But it's just man.
Okay, I wanted to do a video about the ultimate signs of a shift or timelines collapsing and a potential end to the simulation that we're in, or the 3D matrix as we know it. I've been seeing a lot of different creators on TikTok touch on, world events and what's been happening. And it made me realize, one of the ultimate signs of there being a collective awakening is when we all just start getting the same exact downloads, when we start having the same prophetic type of dreams about war and nuclear missiles and bombs going off and particular cities being targeted, alien invasions, you know, when we all start sensing the same things and you start having these different people prophesizing all over, across race, gender, age group, on multiple platforms, all repeating the same thing, encountering people in real life who are also sensing that the energy is off in a way that's very reminiscent to like the lead up to COVID. Like, I'm not sure if other people realized how the energy leading up to the pandemic was very intense, and it definitely seemed like something ominous was occurring or we're on the brink of something major. I know that I personally felt it. At that particular time, I was still living in New York City, and I had been feeling that something was coming that was really major for that past year or so before the pandemic actually went down. And I think the same feelings are being felt right now as it pertains to the current state of the world. When you go on TikTok, you see a lot of people that maybe haven't yet drawn the same conclusions as us about what this world is. Like they're not necessarily on a truth seeker journey. They're not necessarily truth tellers, but they still intuitively feel something is off, right? They have no will to work. They have no will to date. They have no will to procreate. I think when you look at like the child-free movement, even though the reasoning may be different for like the child-free and the Horby and those things running consecutively, like those two different ideologies and movements being embraced simultaneously and even being pushed to a certain extent, it's very much still tied to the antinatalist movement, right? Like they may not have the same kind of reasoning for like not wanting to cause any pain or suffering, or bringing people here without their consent. They may not have that fatalistic viewpoint on it. It may even be more selfish reasons for why they want to be child free. Like they just don't want to have to deal with the responsibility of having to rear a child. They want to pour all their energy into their self. It could be because they don't have the money. Like there's a myriad of reasons for why people are participating in child free. People participating in the 4B movement, women not wanting to share their energy with men anymore, not wanting to sleep with them, not wanting to do anything with them, date them. And then that in of itself leading to the birth rates continued decline globally. It's also tied to the fact that there is a collective consciousness coming together where even without people realizing it, we're all beginning to come to the same conclusions of like, it's not safe to be here and we don't need to bring any other souls here, right? And like I said, it's either you have it on one side where the child free may don't consciously realize that's what they're doing. It's an unconscious thing happening, but it's still occurring and it's still leading to the declining birth rate. It's still leading to people coming to the same conclusion ultimately of like, I do not want to give birth to a child. I do not want to continue playing this game. And I think that is one of the key, that's just one facet of indicators that the simulation, this 3D realm as we know it, this 3D matrix as we know it, is coming to an end. In the Bible, it was prophesied that there would be a return of Christ, when in actuality, it was more so metaphorically speaking, a return of the Christ consciousness, right? And Jesus Christ himself did not have children, right? And he was essentially a sovereign being, right? He didn't even ask to be worshipped. They just chose to do that because human beings are followers. And so when we talk about like the end of times, the end of days, the end of times, the end of days, the sign of the current end of times will be the return of the Christ consciousness, return of collective consciousness when the all becomes one, and the collective death of the ego, because the ego is ultimately what drives a lot of our decisions. You know, in one of my previous videos where I was talking about the schizo dump video, where he was talking about how a majority of people are sensing personality types versus the intuitives, but he broke it down to like 30 to 70%, right? So if 70% of people are operating out of the ego, that is when you'll have scenarios in which people who are perfectly intelligent, perfectly capable beings will look around at the state of the earth as it is today and still think it's a good idea to bring a child here, because it's going to be different for them and their child is going to have a really good life, and their child isn't going to go through any significant pain or trauma, and even if they do, they will persevere the same way that they did. And that's their ego talking, right? Because 70% of people or more are heavily tethered to their ego. But when Christ consciousness returns, when we become a collective consciousness, when the all becomes one, and we stop looking at one another, we stop being divisive, we stop looking at one another as adversary, that's when the ego dies, right? And I'm beginning to see the signs of that happening now, y'all, everywhere. Like, it's most visible on TikTok, but there's other forms of social media that it's on. And if you pay attention closely, more and more individuals are coming out of the woodwork. People from all walks of life, like people that are not even social media types, or, they're not content creators in the traditional sense. They're just regular 9-to-5ers, are coming out of the woodwork online to speak their truth, to state the same things, everyone drawing the same conclusions, everyone recognizing the same patterns about what this world is, what it represents, and how to get beyond it. And everyone else that doesn't come, like, this is what I realized, like, everyone else that doesn't have the capacity to reach that level of consciousness or awareness, they represent the souls that will ultimately be bound to this earthly realm and that are getting left behind. These are your energy vampires, your NPCs, your diabolicals, as my good sis Fleur Byrne would call them. Shout out to her. Those are the left behind. Like, when you read in the Bible, the left behind, that's them. Like, the people who are unable to elevate in consciousness and abandon the ego and untether themselves from the ego, they are the ones that's going to get left behind. Those are the individuals that fear physical death the most, because they know consciously and unconsciously there's nothing left for them on the other side, because they never had a fully formed soul to begin with. And it's why they clung so desperately to power and control within the 3D. They clung to the 3D matrix harder than anyone else. And it's not just limited to your wealthy elite, because I think a lot of folks like to just sense that, like, they like to say that their sense of like inner nothingness or fearing death was more so unique to like the Epsteins of the world. But it's not just them, it's also present in other individuals that lack consciousness. It's in the bums, the dusties, like I said before, the NPCs, your pimps, your predators, your traffickers, your leeches of society, like anyone that's ever heavily preyed upon others or spent their entire existence terrorizing others. They're the ones that are heavily tethered to this realm, overly materialistic, overly materially attached to things and people and places. Those are the individuals who are going to be unable to reach that higher state of consciousness, that higher level, to actually recognize this world for what it is and understand what it takes to make it on the other side, right? To go beyond the firmament. And those are individuals who it's nothing waiting for them on the other side. And like I said before, unconsciously and consciously, they know it, they sense it. They're completely incapable of rising in consciousness and elevating up and out of here. They literally don't have the software. They were not built for that. Literally, they don't have the they didn't get the upgrade.